Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Matt Mitchell Show. I'm DJ Foster, joined by Grand Valley State head football coach Matt Mitchell. Mitch, 2 home games, 2 wins, 2 wild victories. Obviously, the 83-46 win over Notre Dame in the home opener 2 weeks ago, and then over the weekend, the 46-41 come-from-behind victory, I guess, at the end of the game. A lot of storylines. Isaiah Grimes, his first start, some injuries, some rain, a late touchdown by Daryl Pitts. You and I talked 1 year ago this week, and your team was 1-3. It's obviously a lot better to be on the 4-0 side of the record sheet.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I think that's one thing we talked about. Heading into our team meeting after the game on Sunday was that it was ugly. We were fortunate to win, but at the same standpoint, we're 4-0, and we're in a position as we head into North Division play where where we want to be honest with you. So it hasn't always been exactly how you may have thought it would have gone down, right, based on, like you said, injuries and our play on, especially probably on the defensive side of the ball. But we are where we're at, and we need to have a bounce in our step and some energy and understand the challenge we're going to face here heading up to Houghton.
First 3 quarters of the game on Saturday, you have 20 points. Fourth quarter, 21 points. Anything differently you guys did defensively? Anything different they did offensively that kind of that gave them the 3 unanswered touchdowns?
Right. Well, I think it was a combination of factors. 2 of the touchdowns came on 3rd and 10, and one was a 60-yard touchdown pass. The other was a 40-yard touchdown pass. So we had some critical errors that occurred on 2 third and long situations. So that's on all of us. That's on coaches and players. On the defensive side of the ball. So when you look at those 21 points, 14 of the 21 came on 3rd and 10, where you're at, you'd think you would be a little bit of an advantage on the defensive side of the ball. So, we got to go back and take a look at that. We had, 3 3rd and 10s where, we didn't execute and didn't get the job done. So, we had some critical errors on the defense side of the ball. At the same time, it wasn't, a complete meltdown. And we, like I said in the press conference, we had 51 plays. We led them to less than 5 yards, and we're doing some good things. We just got to finish a little bit better on some of the 3rd down situations. I think that was a factor. I think that we were out there a little bit more some in the fourth quarter because whether it was, just because we were having a little struggle running the ball, doing some things, we just weren't converting as much on the offensive side of the ball, which put our defense out there a little bit. But, it was wild. That fourth quarter was wild. We go up from being 20 points to going down to a point and then going back up. And it was a huge range of emotions that were occurring there during that fourth quarter.
Isaiah Grimes' first career start, 14 of 30 passing, 316 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, was not sacked. The offensive line kept him up all night long. Assess his performance. How do you think he did overall?
I think he did good in his start. Could he have been better? Sure. Especially, I think, in the first half. And I think there's some throws he could probably want back. I mean, the one pick that he threw, we had the guy open, and I think he underthrew him a little bit. And there was a couple other throws. And, we had a couple wideouts that at times let him down, too. We had a couple drops, and we had a guy slip. So, some of the incompletions that weren't necessarily all on him. One of the picks I would put on our receivers, too. But the other pick was on him. So, it was for his first-time start. Could he be better? Sure. And I think he's going to get better through this experience. I mean, that was interesting. For your first start in a college football game, you're up 40-20 and you think you're pretty comfortable and we're trying to run the ball. So now you got to go back out there in the pouring rain and win it. I thought, given those circumstances, he did handle it pretty well and, did a good job. So he's going to keep getting better. He's like any first-time starter. He's going to keep getting better.
Charles Johnson, a monster effort, 8 catches, 177 yards and a score. Daryl Pitts only had 2 catches. Both were big. Obviously, the one was huge. And the last play, as I talked to those guys after the game, the last play was designed for Pitts. Talk about the night that both those guys had.
Yeah, I mean, I think CJ, again, had a dominant performance. There's a couple things probably I think he could wish he could have back, too. So, I think he played well. Did he play at the high levels he can? No. I mean, we had a turnover, and I'm sure there's a drop that he wished he had back on that deal. But, again, he's a guy that has played, as anybody on our football team has played as consistent as anyone through the first 4 games. And there's a big reason, too, why we're doing what we're doing. So you're right. On the Pitts thing, that was called for Pitts. I mean, he's a good down the field. He seems to come up with plays. And sometimes it's always pretty with Daryl, but he comes down with the ball. And, we knew that corner over there, we give him twist around a little bit, and Daryl made a nice catch in the end zone. So it's nice to have him kind of step up and do some things, and obviously huge confidence boost for him. Former walk-on has come in and kind of worked hard in our program. I think it's good for our whole team to see that guys that have, walk-on guys come in and making big plays like that because of his work ethic and kind of stay in the course. That's good for our whole program when guys like that make plays.
Obviously, the defense struggled at times, but if you look at it late in the fourth quarter, Ohio Dominican got the ball back with 5 minutes and 12 seconds left. They got 1 first down, and then they were forced to punt. So great stop there by the D. Then you take the lead, 46-41. Ohio Dominican has 76 seconds left to try and score a touchdown, get the lead back. They get 1 first down, and they throw the pick at the end of the game. So although they may have struggled at times, and you said there was 5 big plays that accounted for 260 of their yards.
Correct. Yep.
At the end of the game, 2 big stops.
Yeah, and that's what I said. I know that we're frustrated on defense. Coaches and players are frustrated with our performance. But when you click on the tape, it's you can't. It's not all negative. There's some plays that we did make. There's some plays throughout the course of the game. Even the first half, we gave up a 75-yard touchdown run. We got a couple guys out of position. But other than that, we held them to a couple field goal attempts. And in the end of the game, I agree. In the end of the game, like we needed a stop and needed to get a ball back to our offense. That happened. We had a very similar situation last year in Findlay. We had to get a stop and get the ball back to our offense. We did not do it, and Findlay ran out the clock.
Right.
We got the stop we needed to, and then I agree. That the play by Dana Dixon goes up, and we had some guys underneath coverage did a good job. He makes the play and gets us off the field at that point, gets us the win. So, it's still not, again, the level we need to have, but there were improvements that we saw made. And that was a team the previous week that put up 47 points on Northern Michigan, and so they're a good offense in the South. And I thought that we knew we weren't going to go and shut those guys out. 41 points, yeah, that's way too many. But there are some improvements that are being made, by some guys, and we had some guys step up and make some plays when we needed to.
Talk about Reggie Williams. He was named the GLIAC Special Teams Player of the Week, 2nd time now. He becomes the first player in Grand Valley State history to return a kick and a punt for a touchdown in the same season. So a very neat stat there for Reggie. He was all over the place, and how big, obviously his performance was big, but with Eric Thompson out the past couple of weeks, talk about how important Reggie's been in the special teams game.
He's been very important. Like you said, him and Eric kind of been the tandem both on the return game and on our defense back there. They're kind of the ball hawks to make plays. With Eric not having played the last few weeks, I thought Reggie's done a good job. A couple of mistakes he made, but I tell you, when he's around the football, he makes the plays, and you got to give him some credit for that. And then when the ball's in his hands, it's very dangerous. So, it was interesting. Even on that kickoff return, they tried to squib it and keep it on the ground.
Right.
Reggie picked it up and ripped it. We did a good job blocking it in a scramble situation, and he returned it for a touchdown. So he's having a good year. He's playing very consistent for us and is our boundary corner. He's got to continue to play that way, especially with some newer faces on defense and some injuries, things like that. We got to be able to, he's got to be able to lock down and hold down that boundary for us. He's done a good job so far.
Obviously, one of the themes, unfortunately, for the second week in a row is injuries. What can you tell us about some of the guys looking forward to this week?
Yeah, well, as I think everybody knows, Heath Parling's out. Chris Robinson will be done for the year. He sustained a very serious injury, and so we'll lose him for the rest of the year. The rest of the guys, both some of the guys that did not play, that we're hoping to try to get back, and some guys in the course of that game that got injured. You just kind of a day-to-day basis, seeing where we're at. So, like I said, this is Monday that we're recording this, and this is kind of our off day, so those guys are going to get treatments, and we'll kind of know after Tuesday's practice what the potential availability of some of those guys might be for Saturday. So it's going to be an interesting week for us just from the standpoint of we got a very good opponent, Michigan Tech, but also, it may be touch and go on a few guys or whether they're going to play or not. So we're going to have to do a good job as a coaching staff kind of managing the different pieces of the puzzle because there may be some uncertainties that may lead up through the week of is he playing, not playing, and kind of, seeing where we're at, getting on that bus Friday.
Michigan Tech this Saturday, they're 3-0. They really haven't had a close game yet. They beat Findlay 35-10 pretty easily last week. They're obviously a defensive team. They're giving up just under 11 points a game and about 250 yards on the defensive side. What do they do well? What are you going to have to try and overcome on Saturday?
Well, I think they don't make many mistakes. They do a great job controlling the ball. There's a lot of familiarity between the two programs, so we know how they're going to. What they like to do on offense, and they'll throw in some trick plays and throw in some wrinkles that'll keep us on our toes on that side of the ball. I think I'm just interested to kind of see their defense has been very dominant, but we also know they've got 8 new starters, and so I think the matchup of our offense versus our defense and how that unfolds will be interesting. We can't afford to turn the ball over. We can't afford to give up a bunch of chunk plays. We've got to try to, we're not going to shut out Michigan Tech. We've got to try to do a good job of limiting, their possessions outside the ball, and then we've got to be very opportunistic with our offense. I don't know how many positions our offense is going to get, but we got to make sure they're productive and that we're doing a good job on that side of the ball. So it's going to be a dogfight, in my opinion. I think they're both two teams that have gotten to this point. They're both undefeated, and there's going to be a lot on the line. And this thing's, my opinion, is probably going to go down the fourth quarter, and it's going to come down to turnovers and field position, and us, making sure that we do a good job on possessions on both sides of the ball.
Grand Valley State's offense averaging 51.2 points per game. Michigan Tech's defense giving up just 10.7. Something will give this weekend. Grand Valley State at Michigan Tech this Saturday night at 6 o'clock. Mitch, best of luck. Have a good, safe road trip. We'll talk to you again soon.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for watching the Matt Mitchell Show here on the Grand Valley Sports Network.